If you want to grow spiritually and take the shortcut route, then this video is especially for you. In this video, I'm sharing 7 tips that can accelerate your spiritual growth. Hi everyone, I'm Kiran. Welcome to my channel where I talk about mindfulness, emotional resilience and spirituality. Now before I get on with the tips, one thing I will add that there are many paths to God and you just have to find the one that works for you. Meaning find a path that feels aligned to you. And your path may not look like someone else's, and that's okay. In fact, the best way to uncover your path is to align with your inner compass, your heart. Because when you're aligned with your true north, you will reach your highest destiny potential in this life. Now, the other thing I want to add before we get started is that, I had the opportunity to study with many different teachers in this past 10 years. So I have my own unique perspective on how to accelerate your spiritual growth and development. And the tips I'm sharing in this video come from my personal experience. So with everything I share, please always check for resonance. If any of my tips or suggestions don't feel in resonance, then maybe it's not for you. So feel free to discard it. So my number 1 tip to grow spiritually is that you commit to emotional clearing. What do I mean by that? Now let's take a look at this chart of emotions. I've colored some emotions here: anger, guilt, shame, fear, worry, and anxiety. Now emotional clearing at its most basic level means knowing how to address these emotions. Like say when you feel angry, how do you react? How long does the anger stay with you? What situations always trigger anger in you, and so on. Because when you are emotionally triggered, typically all the logic goes out the window and you fall back into your default patterns. So emotional clearing means developing awareness of your emotions. It's really about knowing how you think and feel and what patterns you need to change in yourself. Like I remember when I started meditation, the guilt I felt was insane. I mean, it was just off the charts. It was a repressed emotion for me. So at that time, developing awareness of this emotion meant like unraveling where this guilt is coming from. How do I react when these emotions get triggered? And most importantly, what changes do I need to make in my belief system to let go of this guilt? Now, one thing I experienced in these past 10 years was that the more I learned to manage my emotions, the more progress I made in growing spiritually. Now, it may sound strange, but emotional clearing is an absolute must for spiritual growth and development. And the reason I say that is because if you are quick to anger or frustration or any other negative emotion, then you will not be able to hold stillness, which is the hallmark of spiritual maturity. And that brings me to my second tip, which is commit to growing your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual body. What do I mean by that? Now, when you look at yourself in your mirror, you only see your physical body. But if you were to look at yourself at an energetic level, what you will notice is that, say, this is your physical body, then there is also an emotional body, a mental body, and a spiritual body. Now, your physical body grows from the day you are born. Your mental body keeps growing as long as you're learning new things. Your emotional body grows when you work through your emotions. And your spiritual body, this grows when you are acquiring spiritual knowledge. Now, when you are just getting started in your spiritual journey, it is very easy to get carried away and learn about anything and everything related to spirituality. But this creates imbalance in your overall growth. Like I remember when I started my spiritual journey, I got so carried away by learning all the spiritual stuff, not realizing that if I didn't develop all 4 bodies equally, I could only go so far. Now think about it this way. Say you are building a house. The first thing we will do is to make sure that this house has a strong foundation. Now think of your 4 bodies as in mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, as the four pillars on which you are building your house. You want all these individual layers strong, sturdy, because if any one of them is weak, your foundation is going to be shaky. Now, of all these four bodies, the emotional body is usually the most challenging one, and which is why I said emotional clearing as tip number one, because when you don't know how to deal with your emotions, you become stuck in them. And this body doesn't get space to develop. One of my teachers says that spiritual growth is 99% emotional clearing, and that makes so much sense given how so many of us struggle with negative emotions. My next tip for growing spiritually is that you practice developing observer consciousness. What I mean by that is the ability to witness anything while remaining calm and neutral. And especially if you are a sensitive person, it is very easy to get affected by poverty or bloodshed or violence in the world. So developing observer consciousness means you can witness any of these events while staying neutral. In the context of developing observer consciousness, it is imperative that I also talk about the power of now. Now, all the great mystics have always said that your power lies in this now moment. And for the longest time, I always used to wonder, how do I get myself in this now, in this present moment? And what helped me most was this visual. Now, when you look at this magnet, one end is positive and the other one is negative. And right in the middle, it is neither positive nor negative, it is neutral. And so, when you are in a neutral state of mind, you are not swinging either to the positive or to the negative, as in you are not swinging in polarities. You are not doing right, wrong, higher, lower, positive, negative. You are in the now. And developing observer consciousness is like a superpower, because it's like no matter what goes on in the external world, you will always know how to remain calm and centered. And the other thing I will add here is that the most important ingredient to developing this observer consciousness is compassion. Compassion for yourself and others. The next tip that I can't stress enough is that create a daily ritual that grounds you. Now, this could be a combination of breathing exercises or chanting or reading some spiritual text, or you could do some visualization exercises or daily affirmations. Play around and see what resonates most with you. Like when I first learned meditation, I remember showing up for my meditation practice every single day consistently for about 60 to 70 days. And by the end of those 60 days, I knew exactly how my body and my mind feels when I consistently show up for my meditation. Because as you already know that there's a palpable shift in your overall energy when you meditate. I still remember this one day that I was so pissed at my boss, and I remember that day when I got home, instead of sulking, I decided I was going to meditate for half an hour on this topic. And by the end of that half hour, my anger was gone. And this was such a powerful experience because it taught me that regardless of what goes on in my external world, I can always find comfort and solace in my meditation practice. And the key point is staying consistent. Because once you know how it feels to be connected with the divine, to be connected with your higher self, then your cells have a memory and you can always tune back into that frequency, into that memory, and into that energy. My next tip to grow spiritually is that you choose your friends and acquaintances wisely. When you are just starting out in your spiritual journey, your friends can play a huge part. And so it always helps to be surrounded by like-minded people who also have the same interest and want to grow spiritually. And it may sound trivial, but I honestly can't stress it enough. Someone said that you're a product of 7 to 8 people that you hang out the most with. And when it comes to spiritual growth, collective consciousness makes a ton of difference. Now, my next tip is something that I have used for the longest time and I still use it daily. which is to set intentions to grow spiritually. So think of intention like giving command to energy. Let's say you have this ball of energy that is available to you every day. This ball of energy can go in different directions, like it can go in the direction of movies or gossip or work or shopping, exercise, reading, and so on. When you set an intention, it's like telling this ball of light which direction you want it to go. You can say something as simple as, it is my intention to grow spiritually easily and effortlessly. And my last tip is that, in your journey to spiritual growth and evolution, stay open to different modalities and teachings. Like, if you are happy and satisfied with your current practice, then great, keep doing it. But if you are starting to feel stuck or starting to feel that you're not getting anywhere, then perhaps it's a good time to explore what other options exist. Like, I studied with many different teachers, and my current practice is an amalgamation of many things I learned along the way. Like, one of the things that I have started doing recently, from time to time, I always check in with myself. Is what I am learning still feels aligned with me? Is what I am learning helping me to grow at a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical level? And as long as the answer is yes, I make sure I keep doing more of it. Because, like I said at the beginning of the video, there are many paths to God. You just have to find the one that is constantly feeling aligned with you. And one thing I will add here is, having a direct connection to God without any intermediary is our divine birthright, and one we must claim. So how will you know whether you are growing spiritually or not? Well, one signpost is that you start to love the person you are becoming. And you will notice that as you grow spiritually, you will become more kind, loving, generous towards yourself and others. Perhaps the best advice I could give you is that don't emulate others. Trust your heart, trust your path, and trust your journey, because it is unique to you. The greatest teacher is and will always be your heart. And as long as you are following it, you will always be guided. I hope these suggestions were helpful. As always, please only take what resonates, discard the rest. Thank you so much for your time today. I will see you next Tuesday with a new video. And until then, have a beautiful rest of the week.